Hello everyone. So in today's topic we are going to discuss and move further with a new topic. This topic is going to be a continued part of the last lecture what we had done. So in few lectures back we had seen some of the major components of atmosphere, and we had also gone through the major concepts of how these atmospheric layers are working with us. We had also undergone through how these layers are protecting the human organism or human society and other living organism which is present on the earth. Last lecture we had seen one of the effect that was called as acid rain, and I think you might have gone through the complete idea of acid rain and tried to understood the main concept how acid rain takes place. Reason is because today when we are going to discuss on the topic of ozone layer depletion, our major concept would be to understand what was the connection between the acid rain and what is actually the role of ozone. So basically how acid rain components, that means we had discussed two major components of acid rain which form a acid rain, and these two major components were nitrogen components and sulfur components. So we had seen how the reaction took place, how they actually are generated from by natural process, as well as we had seen that they are generated by artificial process, that means human oriented processes. So when natural process comes into light, it was volcanic eruption, and it was the lightning process, thunder lightning process, because of which these pollutants were created. But when it comes to something called as human effect, so it has a major cause and major responsibility of human to understand, because ozone is one of the part which is getting affected because of this acid rain. Now how come? We will understand this in our next coming lecture. So let's start with actual topic for today, and the topic for today will be called as ozone depletion, or simply we can say ozone layer depletion. So before understanding the concept of ozone layer depletion, we should understand what actually ozone is. What are the chemical components? What is ozone made up of? Does ozone is only a single layer of a gas which is present in the stratosphere, or does it actually have some kind of property? Does it react with another kind of components also? For that purpose, we will today study a complete lecture in a form of question answer pattern. So it becomes easy for you people to understand how ozone actually works. So let's start. We'll start with the first question, and the first question should come to your mind, and that is what actually ozone is. Now, when I say what actually ozone is, it means we are going to talk something about the actual profile study of ozone. Now, what do you mean by profile study? So, we will be discussing the structure, we will discuss about the chemical bond, we will discuss about the color, odor, formula, etc. etc. Okay. So in this picture, I've given you a picture, and in this picture, you can see that there are three oxygen molecules, and these three oxygen molecules are binded to each other, and they have a typical kind of angle formation, right? So that is actually what is the structure of ozone. So basically, ozone is also called as, that means जैसे हम मुझे आपका नाम पता है या फिर आपको मेरा नाम पता है, is because we have an identity, we have a profile. Similarly, ozone is named, or ozone is given a name for the reason because it is a discovery that it is formation of three oxygen molecules, and hence it is also called as trioxygen molecule. Okay, so that is the first concept which should be very clear, that ozone का profile name ozone क्यों दिया गया है, because it is a trioxygen molecule. Next, a simple one. Then what is the chemical formula? So again, if it is a trioxygen, the word itself describes that it is three oxygen molecules combined together to form a compound or a atom. So basically the chemical formula of ozone is triple O, that is O3. So one O is combined to another O, by a third oxygen molecule, and they have a typical angle forming. Now, why am I saying this typical angle all the time is reason because we have to see how this ozone is reacting, how the ozone breaks down, and how these broken down oxygen molecule are reacting with other chemical components. For example, we know that oxygen, because it is of O2, like we had discussed in the last lecture, that oxygen is O2 and ozone is O3. That means it is not a component which has occurred itself naturally. It is basically a combination which is formed. So O3 basically is formed because of mixing of two oxygen molecules and one oxygen molecule to form a very different compound, that is O3. So reason behind the studying of angle is because this O3 does not remain as it is. Why? Because ozone is a gaseous compound which is continuously in a process of cutting down. Okay, that is, it continuously breaks down and it combines with another molecule. For example, you can say that if I am saying this ozone or this O3 molecule is present at the stratospheric level, that means it has to undergo some kind of process, because वहाँ पे sunlight पड़ती है. अगर sunlight पड़ती है तो heat energy capture हो रही है, और अगर heat energy capture होगी तो कुछ ना कुछ तो process होना ही चाहिए, because it is a compound, it is a chemical compound, and because it is a chemical compound, what it does, it actually breaks down. Okay, and what is formed, it is O2, and a single O is released out. Now what happens when a single O is released out, we'll be studying in the coming lecture. So let's see what is the other property of ozone then, because these are the questions being asked rigorously. Henceforth you have to keep in mind that ozone is O3. Ozone का color होता है pale blue in color. So in the next slide you can see that I have shown you a picture in which you can find how you can identify, because it basically can be identified in the time zone of darker section. Okay, that means when it is evening or when it is dusk or it is night, at that time you can find, and of course you should be at that high peak point where you can easily identify and you can easily capture the ozone layer. So basically it is somewhat pale bluish in color. Of course it has a smell, and this was a discovery made. So its smell is somewhat pungent smell. Pungent smell, that means a smell which is irritable. So that is a kind of a smell which normally you cannot bear for a longer time. So it has a pungent kind of smell. It has a powerful oxidant property. अभी मैंने आपको कहा था कि we have to study the chemical bond, that means we have to study the angle. So why do we have to study the angle? This is one more reason, that it is one of the powerful oxidant. That means it can easily break down and it can easily again form itself. So breaking down and formation is the process which ozone is going through again and again. And because of this reason, what is happening is the formation of O3 molecule at particular time, again a breakdown, and again formation of new ozone molecule. But what happens if the ozone molecule, single O, or let's consider the O2 or O3 itself, gets combined with the harmful products? So it is a major problem. Henceforth, you have to look forward for the idea that it is a one of the most powerful oxidant property carrying element. How is ozone formed? Now we had discussed, just I've told you right now, that ozone is basically formed because of three oxygen molecule, and because it does not occur, that means oxygen molecule does not occur, three oxygen molecule does not occur naturally, but it is a combination phenomena. That means a single oxygen will come and it will form two oxygen molecule, that is O2, and O2 either can be consumed by organism or either it will be reaching up the stratospheric layer to form and combine with another oxygen molecule, free oxygen radical, to form O3. Okay, so basically it is formed by dioxygen, which is to O2, and in combination with a single radical of oxygen, that is O plus. You can see over here. So you can identify it easily to understand it. That is O minus and O minus. That means it is a combination and it is a molecule that is called as O2 molecule. While that it comes in combination with single radical of oxygen, that is O plus, and it combines to form a molecule called as O3, which is nothing else but ozone. ये सब कहाँ पे होता है? ये सब स्ट्रेटोस्फीयर के एरिया में ही होता है, and the helping hand for this kind of reaction to take place is none other than ultraviolet radiation. So I said earlier also that light plays an important role in each and every chemical and reactions to take place which is happening on the earth. So maybe it can be a part of photosynthesis, it can be a part of chemosynthesis, and now today we are going to see that it is a major part for the process of formation of ozone as well as some of the chemical reaction which takes place in the ozone. Okay, so ozone कहाँ से form होगा? 2O2 will combine with a single O radical, and then it will with the help of ultraviolet radiation, that is light, ये combine हो जाते हैं and it combines to form an O3 particle. Next one, then who actually gave the idea of or who actually gave the concept of ozone? Now, as I said in just a few minutes back, that ozone is somewhat palish bluish in color, and you can find it out in the dark sections of the time zones. So this is one of the example of ozone. So basically, ozone was found out by or discovered by Charles Fabry and Henry Buisson. So these were basically the French physicists, and they had found out that there is some kind of element which is actually protecting the earth layer. On the other hand, they also identified it. Actually, ozone was identified very much back, but they had discovered the idea that ozone layer, it will be called as ozone layer for the reason because it has a typical formula of O3. Okay, that is trioxygen molecule. Further, a meteorologist called as GMB Dobson, Dobson. So GMB Dobson gave these properties. What we had studied in the early slide, that it has a particular O3, pale color, pungent smell, powerful oxidant, how the chemical reaction take place. Actually, this was given by GMB Dobson. So what was the role of Charles and Fabry and Henry Buisson was actually that they discovered that what is actually the role of ozone, where is actually ozone, and what can be the role of ozone in the future, because they were physicists. While on the other hand, later on after the discovery, a meteorologist gave all the chemical properties of this ozone. The next question then comes to us is what and where actually the ozone should lie. Okay, so it is very clear example. We had very mentioned in the very start itself that ozone is present in the stratospheric layer. But is it that much enough to understand the ozone? Not actually. So now let's answer one question. What amount, at what height, what is the thickness, what should be the level, and it differs. So in the if you remember in the lectures of segment differentiation, I had mentioned something like we were discussing something about the atmosphere, and in the same part I was telling you that we are going to look forward for one segments like troposphere, then we had seen for stratosphere. And when we were discussing on the area of stratosphere, I told you one thing, that there is an ozone layer formation, right? But I also said one thing, that earth is a globe, it is not a round. That means the layers or the segments which are present around your globe, around you, always differs, and the same thing is present in ozone layer also. That means basically it is considered that ozone is around 20 to 30 kilometers above the earth's surface level. It is that closer to us. But actually in some areas it turns out to be far. On the other hand, in some areas it is turning out to be much closer. For example, if we go to the northern sphere of our globe, we'll find that this uh, ozone layer, which is which seems to be 20 to 30 kilometers, is actually closer. It is not that far. The distance gets reduced. And on another hand, if you go to the equator side, you'll find that the layer of ozone is quite distinct from the Earth's surface level. Okay, so that is because of the geographical area, because of your globe, because of the motion of the globe, because of the seasonal changes. Now, why seasonal changes? In some parts it is continuously a rain. On the other hand, in some parts you can find that this rain is not that much efficient, or you can find that this rain is not that much regular at times. And in this part the ozone becomes varied at time to time. For example, if there is a rain or heavy rainfall, you can find that the layer of the ozone gets thin. Okay, just for the reason because there is a kind of precipitation which is coming down, and to give a way out, the layer of ozone becomes thin here. On the other hand, if it is a very heavy sunny time, the ozone layer sometimes can become very thick and hard also. So basically, the ozone which was being calculated actually is considered to be 0.6 ppm. So it was an actually approximation. Okay, so it is not actually the exact idea that it is or it should be 0.6 ppm only, but actually it is one of the kind of observations which are made. And of course, this observation was made by whom? So we had seen in the early part that it was made by GMB Thompson. Okay. Okay. So the next part, the total mass of the ozone actually was calculated for about 400 million metric tons. So it was actually calculated that this much of ozone will be made over a day from a complete globe. And this was calculated on the basis of how much the sunlight is being penetrating, or how much the sunlight is reaching the earth's surface level. And because of this earth's surface level reaching of light or ultraviolet light at this surface level, it was found that almost 12% of ozone layer can be formed every time. Reason was very simple, that it was the part, that means 12% is the part which is captured. So actually sun is not emitting out or not giving out 12% of radiation, but it is giving out much more radiation. And because of this much more radiation, ozone has to protect the earth layer. For protecting this earth layer, or protection of earth from the harmful UV radiation, it has to create itself. मैंने अभी आपको थोड़ी देर पहले कहा था कि ओजोन इज ऑलवेज इन अ मोड ऑफ formation and breakdown, formation and breakdown. So that is the idea which is being cleared over here, that global mass का ओजोन का जो ग्लोबली मास कैलकुलेट होता है वो कैसे होता है, सन पे जितना भी एनर्जी आएगा उसके 12% ऑफ ओजोन क्या करता है, डेली यूटिलाइज करते रहता है. इसके वजह से डेली ओजोन का ऑलमोस्ट अराउंड 400 मिलियन मेट्रिक टन प्रोडक्शन होता है. क्यों? अभी थोड़े देर पहले मैंने आपको बोला था, अभी आगे की रिएक्शन में भी ये ज्यादा क्लियर हो जाएगा कि अल्ट्रावायलेट रेडिएशन गिरने के कारण देयर इज कंप्लीटली ब्रेकडाउन. There is always a breakdown of O3 molecule, and because O3 molecule is breaking down, it has to again form. It is a very fast reaction actually. Even we find it to be very slow, but it is actually an instant reaction, and one cannot imagine also that ozone is acting at a stratospheric level to such a fast rate. So that is basically the ozone activity. Next, I said one thing, that solar energy, right? I've said something about the solar energy, that it is the sun which is producing 12% of ozone layer each day. Now, how we can understand by this graphic method? So, incoming solar energy is not having a percentage ratio, because again it changes and it again varies from season to season, and again geographical areas to from one part to another part. So it can be less solar energy or less sunlight at the polar regions and more at the equator regions. So it has a variation in it. But what the studies have found out, that means what the scientists have discovered, is one of the major issue that how much ever the energy is coming. Okay, so let's consider that sun is giving us 100% of energy, sunlight, fine, but are we taking it as 100%? Not exactly. Are we, in a sense, is the earth taking complete solar radiation, or is it completely utilizing it, or is it somewhat partially utilizing it and then partially giving out it? So the answer for this is very simple. Whatever the sun radiation is coming inside the earth's sphere levels, that means segments, and when it is passing on from stratosphere and then moving on to troposphere, what happens, a reaction starts over there. बिकॉज ओजोन स्ट्रेटोस्फीयर में होता है, वहां पे रिएक्शन शुरू हो जाती है, और रिएक्शन क्या करना शुरू कर देते हैं, 35% रिफ्लेक्ट होना शुरू हो जाता है. रिफ्लेक्ट यानी कैप्चर करके वापस भेज देने का प्रोसेस शुरू हो जाता है. सो वापस भेज कहाँ दिया जाता है, in the universal area, so that is 35%. on an other hand 10% को ब्लू एरिया, ब्लू स्काई लेवल जो होगा वो स्कैटर कर देगा. अगर काफी आसमान खुला होता है and it is very clear sunlight, so you can find a blue sky is there. so when it's blue sky 10% of वहां से स्कैटर होना शुरू हो जाएगा. अब ये ब्लू एक्चुअली सन स्काई क्यों दिखता है, दैट इज अगेन अ डिफरेंट साइंस, and if sometime we get an interest in it, we'll try to discuss it. Actually what we see, the color of the sky is nothing else but it is a scattering of radiation. sky blue नहीं होता है, एक्चुअली वो स्कैटरिंग ऑफ रेडिएशन होता है जो हमें रिफ्लेक्ट, हमारे आईज में रिफ्लेक्ट होता है. इसी वजह से हम कलर्स आइडेंटिफाई कर पा रहे हैं. दैट मीन्स इट इज पर्टिकुलरली अ ब्लू और रेड और ऑरेंज एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. ओके, सो ये स्कैटरिंग ऑफ लाइट अगर आपको बहुत अच्छी तरह समझना है तो आप एक एग्जाम्पल इमेजिन कर सकते हो, दैट इज ऑफ रेनबो. सो हम 7 कलर्स बोलते हैं रेनबो में, बेसिकली इट इज अ स्कैटरिंग. ओके, सो स्कैटरिंग ऑफ लाइट, और पर्टिकुलर लाइट को स्कैटर कैप्चर करना, जो भी एटमॉस्फेयर कैप्चर करता है वो बहुत अलग अलग होता है. जैसे अभी हमने यहाँ पे डिस्कस किया था, रिफ्लेक्शन कितना हो रहा है या फिर रिटर्न बैक कितना प्रोसेस किया जा रहा है, दैट इज 35%. एब्जॉर्ब कितना हो रहा है, 18%. एब्जॉर्ब कौन कर रहा है, दैट इज ओजोन, O3. ओके, ब्लू स्काई अगर होगा, दैट मीन्स क्लियर स्काई अगर होगा, तो वो कितना स्कैटर करेगा, 10%. और अगर क्लाउड्स रहेंगे, जैसे अभी फिलहाल होता है सीजन्स में, दैट इट इज अ क्लाउडी रीजन और क्लाउडी एरिया, तो कितना स्कैटर होगा लाइट, 15%. नाउ अगेन देयर इज अ, यहाँ पे कंफ्यूजन हो सकता है कि अगर क्लियर है तो 10% क्यों, और अगर क्लाउडी है तो 15% क्यों. इसका आंसर आप लोग मुझे दोगे. थोड़ा सा लॉजिक लगाइए, मैंने थोड़ी देर पहले ही आपको बोला था कि ये प्रोसेस क्यों होता है. ओके, then what happens is basically this 10% which is being 18% which is being absorbed by the ozone, this will be reaching to the earth surface level. okay, और ये earth surface level पे कैसे काम करेगा, it will be either, that means 18% is only entering from the ozone which is a protected rays, and these protected rays will enter into the ozone, earth's sphere, that is troposphere, and then the earth will utilize this energy. But again there will be a part that will be reflection, refraction and scattering on the earth also. Reason मैंने आपको कल ही बोला था that when the surface of the earth is having less amount of organisms to capture the energy, it will, of course, what it will do, either the radiation will penetrate deep inside, or else either it will scatter out. Okay, that means either it will be sent out back. So that is the problem which happens with ozone. So basically आपको याद रखना है that how much of ozone is absorbing, it is 18%. If it is asked in nanometer, then you should keep in mind that it is 210 to 290 nanometers which is being absorbed. Okay, so ये दोनों पर्सपेक्टिव आपको अच्छी तरह से याद रखने हैं. So I guess we should stop over here and study these slides again and again, because in the next lecture we are going to see on a major effect that is called as Chapman cycle or it is basically also called as ozone oxygen cycle. It is not a cycle which is somewhat discovered by a person, but it is actually being clarified, being identified and given in a form of chemical reactions or formulas by a person called as Chapman. So before going on to Chapman cycle, I expect that you people should study these previous slide of this today's lecture very clearly, because unless and until this concept of ozone and ozone properties are clear to you, no one will able to understand the Chapman cycle. So basically this is a natural cycle, बहुत सिंपल साइकिल है, बट उसके लिए आपको पहले आपके ओजोन के प्रॉपर्टीज काफी ज्यादा क्लियर करने पड़ेंगे. सो यू हैव टू स्टडी टुडे योर वर्क विल बी, यू हैव टू स्टडी व्हाट आर द प्रॉपर्टीज, हाउ दिस प्रॉपर्टीज वर्क आउट. जैसे मैंने आपको एक ब्रीफली बताया था, रफली बताया था दैट हाउ इज एक्चुअली द ओजोन फॉर्म्ड, वो आपको एक बार फिर से रिवाइज कर लेना है. एंड ऑल्सो एट द सेम टाइम यू हैव टू गिव मी एन आंसर जो मैंने आपसे पूछा है, दैट व्हाई इज इट दैट ब्लू लाइट, clean sky, that means blue clean sky will scatter only 10% of solar energy. On another hand, if it's a cloudy region area or it is having a cloud in your area, it will scatter 15% of radiation. थोड़ा सा confusion तो लगता है. Reason is because if it's a blue sky or clear sky, it should of course scatter much energy, don't you feel? But it is opposite, and the same is going to be answered by you people. So I need the answer. So till the next time we meet, you have to study hard.